Welcome to Extremely Valid Points.
We are three business owners and friends who enjoy practical, real-life discussions about business, marketing, and creativity.
Your hosts are Nathan and Jenny Sala, the owners of World Light Media, a digital marketing agency focused on helping organizations grow through online leads.
And Dave Wilkins, the owner of Ellipsis Production Co., a video production company that specializes in creating meaningful content for businesses and nonprofits.
We hope you enjoy today's episode. And along the way, we just might happen to make some extremely valid points.
Welcome back to Extremely Valid Points. So glad you came and decided to join us today. We are entering into our second part of a two-part series here with Michael Manjarrez of Wayland Financial, and he's been talking to us about financial planning. And he is an investment advisor with lots of insight. He's also just been sharing his story about how he got to where he is. And so we're going to continue that conversation today.
So, Michael, how do you stay passionate about what you do? I mean, a lot of times you've been doing in this field for quite a while now. What keeps you excited about it?
Part of that is knowing a little bit like what I said earlier, being able to get myself out of the rut. Because usually, if you're kind of down and you get yourself back up, that's energizing, feels good, and you keep going, doing whatever you're doing. Also, I think being around people that will say, clearly, Michael, you're in the right place, or I worked at the Apple Store for a long time. Dave remembers.
Yeah,
this.
I remember that.
And people. Up until recently, people would say, "Hey, Michael, my iPod is broken. What should I do?" And I'm like, "Apple hasn't sold iPods for years. I don't even know what to. I don't know what to tell you.
Throw it away."
But now that I'm in finance, I get this. Hey, Michael, you know about investments, right? Or about people don't know what I do really. So they're like, "Oh, do you know about bookkeeping?" And I'm like, yeah. But I think I like when people they know that money, Michael. Those two things go together. That feels good. That association feels really good. But I will say, I guess, first and foremost, now that I'm processing a little bit as I'm talking, is whenever a client has an aha moment, I think that's really cool. Whether the client is whether we've solved a problem or identified a problem that needs to be solved, because those two are equally beneficial. That's really cool when it's like, now I know what I need to do, or now I know that needs to be addressed. That's really cool.
Can you think of any aha moments that come to mind that you don't want to give too much detail about, but anything you can talk about?
I just had one. Yes, today. It's a client that I have. She has a business. It's an S corp business, and she pays herself a salary. And one thing that we've been going through is, the business pays for this, and then she gets paid, and then she pays for these expenses, and savings comes from here and there, and car payment here and there, and the aha moment that I had with her today actually was with a colleague, and then I called her up and told her what So I had an aha moment because of my colleague, and then I said, "Hey, here's what I've discovered." It was basically for us. It was categorizing her and her business as the same entity, even though they're separate, for purposes of financial planning and putting money away for retirement. So that was probably not very exciting for you guys, but it was very exciting for me.
I can imagine.
There was a lot more to it than it was just.
I can imagine the benefits you would feel if you would solve that problem. And like you said earlier, you're eliminating confusion, you're solving problems. Mm-hmm. I can see that. I can put myself in the frame of mind to.
Yeah, basically, I was attempting. I was looking at her cash flow from a different lens than I needed to. And once I figured out how I should view her cash flow, then it all added up.
Was that more of a mindset shift or like a technical designation shift?
It was a technical designation shift.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it made a difference. It's going to make a difference in like the bottom line, basically.
Right. Yeah, and because she's the only employee, there's a lot of benefits we try to make sure that she's maxing out in terms of her retirement.
Yeah, and the thing is that there's with businesses, there's a lot that's the same, but then everybody's also unique and different, right? So that's why it's hard. We can't just watch a YouTube video a lot of times or whatever. We need somebody to go to that has experience, that knows how to go beyond just what we know as running our own business, but then the financial side of it, how that's going to impact not only this month, but next year down and further.
Yeah, totally. And just a side note on that is a lot of people will, go to WebMD if their elbow is itchy or whatever,
right?
And then now they're a doctor. So just like that, people will watch YouTube videos,
yeah,
or they'll watch certain unnamed radio hosts, and now they have all their problems solved. And not that they're getting bad advice necessarily, but it doesn't apply to them specifically.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
especially that
sometimes
itchy
that
elbow.
advice is narrow. It's narrow advice.
Totally.
If you're talking about the unnamed radio host I'm thinking of.
Well, I think the other thing too is when you're looking at things like that, a lot of times we're looking to find the answer that we want, right? Like can I deduct this or whatever it might be? Is it
Right.
okay to spend that or whatever? We're just trying to maybe sometimes validate.
It's true. It's like, oh, I just read this blog, and Cali Girl 86 deducted this on her tax return in 2016, so it must be okay now for
Right.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know where I come up with this stuff. I just make it up, and then
It's perfect content. I mean, thank you. So here's a question. So you deal with, in your realm, in your line of business, you deal with a lot of people who are successful and financially stable, or maybe not that stable. I don't know. But probably most people that
if
would.
they listen to us, they're stable.
Yes, there you go. There you go. So they're on the way to becoming stable. Are there any common factors or traits that you notice in the people that you work with that you could say, well, this is definitely a success factor that I could identify?
Yeah. This is probably not everyone's experience in my industry, but from what I've seen, it's this is going to sound really like I'm going to sound like a Hallmark card right now. It's those who are content with what they have do really well.
Wow.
And we see some people, and we have clients who have, substantial wealth, and they're wearing a Hawaiian T-shirt and flip-flops with socks, and they don't need anything else. Write that down. And then you have others who, and not just clients, just people in general that you know or see or may come in contact with, who wear everything that they own, and I mean that figuratively. And so that's not great. That's not the best plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Just that people could. Sometimes we look at people and we think, oh my gosh, they must be really wealthy. They must have a lot of money. And they might make a good income, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are good with money or that they have a lot. And they say, your treasure, your heart is where your treasure is where your heart is. How do they say that? What's that?
I don't know. That sounds like a Hallmark card.
It does. But the idea is, what you value the most, that's what you'll spend your money on sometimes.
I had this little
And I'm
old lady.
guilty, by the way.
Well, we all are. We all are, totally. I had this little old lady at the bank, and she was probably in her mid-70s, and she was a housekeeper at UCLA. She worked there for 30 years, moved back to town, and she had a couple $100,000 just saved up in her savings account. And like, mind you, she wasn't making a ton of money doing what she was doing. She wasn't making six figures at all, but she had a lot of money saved up. She came into me because she wanted to buy a house. She bought a house in cash.
Nice.
Just because it was closer to the bakery that she liked to walk to.
Wow.
And I was like,
Love that.
that's the life.
Yeah.
Little old
Yeah.
lady, she knows that she's like, I'm too old. I'm getting too old to drive. I want to be able to walk to my little bakery in Southeast Fresno. So I'm going to sell this house, buy another house cash. And like,
There you go.
cool.
Love it.
Yeah, your money can't work very hard for you if you're wearing it or it's sitting in your driveway, right?
Right. And most people can't afford for their money not to work for them.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, so-
Oh, that's a good point.
You know.
That's a great point because sometimes I think it almost feels like, well, I don't have enough to really invest the way I want to or to save the way I want to.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest myths about investing is everyone thinks that they need to reach a certain point.
I'll do it when I get to this level.
Right, or when I have this much money, or when I'm at this point in my career, or I'm only working part-time now. Once I get a full-time job, then whatever. It's like, no. It's like you got to save early and save as much as possible. You know, procrastination will cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
So.
And we're all looking really sad.
Suddenly
shoot.
miserable.
Anyway, nobody look at me.
No, that's good. It's an extremely valid point.
Yes. Thank
Save
you
early.
for that
Save as much as you can.
splash of cold water on my face.
Well, we always just like to ask, like, what inspired you this week or recently?
Yeah, honestly, it was going to the gym last night. And so I was a swimmer in high school, and so I was going to go join a swim club.
Oh, okay.
Fresno Masters Swim Club,
Oh, yeah.
and they work out Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 5 to 6:15 a.m.
Whoa.
And so I was going to go yesterday morning. I was like, oh, I'm going to get up. I bought some new goggles. I bought a swim cap because my hair is actually really long. You can't tell. And I woke up and I was like, no. I was like, this is not happening. And part of it was the time of morning and it's cold.
Yeah.
But also, I mentioned earlier, I haven't worked out or done anything physical in months. So I went to the gym just so I can get my feet wet, no pun intended. And I was like, okay, maybe I won't do that just yet. I'm just going to work out at the gym and see how that goes. But like I said, it felt so good. And, I used to swim a lot. I swam in Clovis Masters in college for a couple of, well, maybe not quite a couple of years, maybe 1 year. Anyway, so I was like, oh, this is good. This felt like a normal, like a good, familiar feeling again. So,
Yeah, that's good. Just to be able to kind of get that physical activity, right?
yeah, the truth is I can't afford to buy new clothes.
Yeah. No, that is good.
So pretty soon you'll be getting up 5 a.m. to go swimming, maybe.
Yeah, eventually
the
I'll work
future.
my way up to that. Yeah,
Nice.
totally.
It's good.
Yeah, well, I think that can translate to a lot of things. Like you were saying earlier about not getting in a rut. And you said something like, why didn't I do this sooner? I mean, there's so many things that we let be like this cloud over us. Like, I know I need to do this. I know I need to do this. And for some reason, I don't know why, it's our, a test of our flesh and our willpower. And then when we finally do it, it's like, that wasn't so hard, and now I feel amazing, and I'm going to do that again. And it only takes that one time of that positive reward, and then it gets easier and easier.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
I bet that's what saving is like.
Ooh, yes, I'm sure.
Investing. Yes. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say I'm connecting some dots here. So there was the earlier you mentioned how sometimes you have to fight through the mental defeat or the struggle or the battle of all in your mind about should I, go get a job at Hot Dog on a Stick? That whole deal. Then what you identified as the success factor of a lot of people was the contentment factor. So it was like just connecting the dots between those two points. And I think there's a common thread of being content allows you to overcome and win that battle of the self-defeat of sort of kicking yourself while you're down type of thing. If you're just content with who you are, it sort of gives you the victory over those moments when you are questioning or doubting even yourself. Kind of reminds me of, and I talked about this in our first season, but Russell Wilson, who's one of my favorite quarterbacks for the Seattle Seahawks, he has this foundation called the Why Not Me Foundation. And he just asks, especially, kids or people living in challenging circumstances, why not me? And when he became a quarterback, he was a little bit shorter than the quarterbacks they prefer. So he, a lot of people said, oh, you're never going to make it. And he's one of the most elite quarterbacks in the NFL. And it just kind of reminds me of that question, why not me? Why can't, nobody else out there is more special than you,
Yeah.
There's no reason why you can't be everything that you were put on this earth to be and do.
One of my little underlying goals, and I don't tell clients this, I'll tell you guys.
This is
Ooh.
Insider.
But and this is what makes my work really personal for me, is I really want to help people become aware of what they're capable of. And chances are, financially speaking, you'll be just fine. And if not, we can work that out. You'll be fine. No matter what problem comes up, there's going to be a solution, and you'll be fine. Also, people don't realize, they think, oh, like I said earlier, I don't make enough money to really save, or I don't make enough money to invest, or Michael, what's your minimum? And chances are, if you're not capable of working with me, you will be soon. And so that's just my own little.
I love that. That's good.
Yeah. It did make me think too, just about, talking about just almost like the goals, right? You desired to join the swim team, but you didn't get that early morning workout in there, but you did go to the gym, right? Mm-hmm. And I was just thinking too, just about this weekend, I had in my mind like, well, okay, I don't have a lot of work I have to do over the weekend, but I have all these items around the house I wanted to do. Get the garage clean, get this and this done, right? But it was like way too much to realistically get it all done. So I had to kind of reconfigure what my goals were, and say that, okay, it would be great if I got all these things done, but if I can get this done and this done, I'll consider it a win for the weekend, like I succeeded, and then I can put this off till the next weekend or whatever it is. And it's hard for me a lot of times because I look at the end goal that's way down here, and it's easy for me to say, oh, I can't get there right now, and so I'm just going to watch TV instead or whatever it is, So, yeah, and a lot of these, whether it's investing goals and things like that, it's easy to look at that way down the road thing and not be the housekeeper from UCLA who saved however much it was to get to that, large number.
Right. Yeah. She didn't start off saving thousands of dollars at a time. It was
Right.
probably dozens of dollars at a time.
Yeah.
And, she worked out pretty well for herself.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So tell our audience how they can find you, how they can get in touch with you if they wanted to reach out, talk to you more.
Yeah. Well, we have a really great new website. We just launched this week, withinfinancial.com. And you can see our whole team and our office, and it's a really cool place. A lot of cool people.
Perfect.
Okay. And can they find your picture there and download it?
You can
and
find my
save it to
picture.
their
You can
desktop?
download it. You can enlarge it. You can use it as a dartboard.
Can I get your autograph on it? No, the answer is no, if you were wondering.
Cool. Well, thanks for joining us,
Yeah,
Michael.
thank
We
you
Yeah,
so
so
much.
appreciate
It's
it.
good to have you.
Thanks, Michael.
Well, good. So it's good to have you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for spending time with us at Extremely Valid Points Podcast. To learn more about this episode, see our show notes at extremelyvalidpoints.com. Be sure and subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or Google Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. Follow us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube and Instagram at EVP_podcast.
If you need help with your video for your business or nonprofit, connect with Dave at ellipsispro.co.
And if you need help with digital marketing, Nathan and Jenny can be found at worldlightmedia.com.
Or feel free to send us an email at questions@extremelyvalidpoints.com. Thanks again for joining us. See you next time.